Welcome to the ZimmCast, a program dedicated to bringing you what's new in agricultural marketing. The ZimmCast is the official podcast of AgWired and hosted by Chuck and Cindy Zimmerman.
Hello and welcome to the ZimmCast. I'm Chuck Zimmerman.
And I'm Cindy Zimmerman, and we'd like to wish everyone a happy new year and a happy 2025.
So we are going to talk a little bit about what we call agriblogging and farm podcasting, terms we came up with when we first kind of got into this whole thing. And we've got a lot of things to talk about for what we've done, and then we're going to look ahead a little bit.
Last year, 2024, we were celebrating our 20th anniversary of starting the company, ZimmComm, and starting AgWired, our flagship blog. And this year, really, though, we celebrate 20 years of getting into the new media. 2005, we had a couple of really significant things that have been a part of our company, started in 2005. One was talking news releases, which we kicked off at the 2005 NAMA, and the other was starting to upload photos into Flickr. Our Flickr photo albums, the Flickr platform, which started in 2005. So those two things really talk about what we do. We do interviews and we take pictures.
And when it comes to pictures and Flickr, since we started that, we have uploaded 222,000 photos in that time. They all are in individual event albums, as we call it, that we've done through that time, and those have been collectively viewed over 38 million times, which to me seems like a pretty big number.
Yeah, and if you haven't had a chance to ever look at our Flickr photo albums, it's really a walk down history for agriculture for the last literally 20 years. We start with the 2005 Indy 500. That's the first photo album that we had in there, and that we were there with the ethanol industry, with EPIC at the time, the Ethanol Promotion and Information Council. That was the very first album that we did. And we have them in collections if you want to go look at all the commodity classics since 2006 or so. Yeah. National Cattlemen's Convention, we have in our photo albums up to 20 years of memories for agricultural events. Even in a slow year, which this last year, 2024 was, we went to about 20 different events. We still uploaded over 6,600 photos that have been viewed over 1.1 million times.
And that's just for last year. Which was a slow year for us. Now, granted, it wasn't as slow as mainly about a year and a half or so of COVID. Prior to that, we did a lot more with, the help of quite a few people. I mean, for example, when we look at who's posted on AgWired or our energy.agwired, we've had about 40 different people as editors that could post onto those websites. And some of them are interns, some of them were freelancers. Some of the interns are now at the highest level of some of the jobs out here, in whether it's in media or agencies or companies, and that goes the same with freelancers, some of whom started their own companies and have done very well. We're really thankful of that, and very proud of them for the work that they've done.
Well, when we talk about audio, we now use Libsyn to host our audio.
And that started in 2017. So, prior to that, we were just doing this on our own server, because at that time we had the ability to get some statistics out of it, but it wasn't great, and we felt like we needed more. So that's why we went to Libsyn, which really started about the same time we started too. But we can look at just since 2017, and this is just our ZimmComm Golden Mic audio. That's what we call it. You can actually subscribe to it. It's the interviews and the session audio and stuff that we record and publish. But we've had 2.8 million downloads of those files, with 137,000 of them just in 2024.
That leads us to talk about some of the statistical issues that we have to deal with, because everybody wants to know statistics that we just don't have anymore. It's just become impossible. We used to be able
to do that, and that really came to a halt in a big way when transparency became to be so vital on companies like Google and Amazon and all the Apple and you name it. But we aren't able to get some of the numbers we used to. That's something that's relatively new. It's partially a transparency issue. It's also, when it comes to audio, for example, with Libsyn, this is something that the Internet Advertising Bureau had a big role in changing that just over a year ago. I've argued with them, and we agreed to not agree.
Well, I think when I look back on 20 years, that 20 years ago, all of this was fun. It was exciting. It was interesting that there was so much new stuff, a great new way to communicate. It was a new frontier. And now it's become a really crowded city that it's not fun to be in anymore. There's too many rules, too many bad guys, bad actors out there. We get, we're constantly being hacked or something else we have to deal with, and it just didn't seem like there was that much of that when we first started. It was so much more fun.
Well, and I have hesitated to use any form of AI, which is now being built into and coming with everything from vehicles to some of the software we use, or the social media platforms. And I have looked at stuff on social media, and I have thought this was actually true, whether it was the video, the picture, the person speaking, whatever it was, and then I find out that it was completely false, made up. It can be used to influence people in a bad way, and maybe it will change. I don't know.
Well, our images that we put for New Year on our website were generated by Grok on X, which is an AI assistant, I guess is what you call them. I've been having a really hard time trying to learn how to do it, ask it to do the right things, ask it to do things that it can do, because there's some things it's refusing to do. I sent it a picture of us, and I wanted it to make a picture of us for New Year's, put us in a New Year's setting or something like that, and it wouldn't do it. It's confusing, and it's confusing people because you don't know what's real anymore. And I guess that really leads us to, what are we going to do? What does the future have? I think AI is a huge part of the future. When I saw our son-in-law come in, he says, yeah, we started a basketball team, and so I asked my buddy to have AI make us a logo, and this is what it came up with. And I'm like, oh, great, put a graphic designer out of business and put writers out of business. I think this does have the potential of putting a lot of people out of business.
Well, let's go to a
happier subject.
Yeah. Let's talk about our Ag Newswire service, because in 2024, we definitely had a huge increase in companies wanting us to distribute their news releases. We did over 80 of those. That's a high number for our service. Speaking of that, by the way, we're offering a discount in 2025 for existing or new customers. If you want to advance purchase of 4 news releases, you'll receive a 10% discount. And that's significant because it's not all that expensive to start with, really. But you just contact Cindy or me, and we'll make it happen.
Or you can go to agnewswire.com, find out more about what it's all about. Because, I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people listening don't even know what all ZimmComm entails. We're AgWired, we're Energy AgWired, and we're Ag Newswire. And we send out news releases. We also do on-site interviews and photography. And that's been really the bread and butter of our existence for the last 20 years. It wasn't what we intended, but that's what we've become. And
we were considered media still at the time, even though what we were doing was PR, basically. I mean, I used to joke that we're PR journalists.
But really, the purpose behind that was the same purpose behind Ag Newswire. Somebody who can't be on site at an event wants audio and photos. They want the ability, if a media person can't be there, they want to be able to get content from that event. The same mindset of sending out a release and having audio with it, so that when it goes out on the air, then it's not just a voicer. It's something that has more content to it.
Looking ahead here in 2025, I'll be at Beltwide Cotton Conferences here in just a couple weeks. And, this first quarter pretty much is going to look for us about where we're going to go, about the same as last year in 2024. Now, that gets us through Commodity Classic, and we'll see where it goes from there.
One of the things that has definitely changed in 20 years is that traveling is just not fun at all.
And it's gotten to be extremely expensive.
Expensive and less fun than ever, with delays and whatnot. So,
yes. I just saw a story from American Airlines that they're going to change the carry-on stuff that you can on the plane. For me, that's a camera bag. It's in a roller. It's a Think Tank is the brand. It's guaranteed to fit under the seat or in the overhead of any plane. But you would not believe the flight attendants who will argue with me that there's no way, Mr. Zimmerman, you have to do this. And I've probably created a scene or
American is the worst. They will flat out tell you that the bag will not fit under the seat, even though it will. But that's part of the whole point, that this isn't fun, and it's probably going to have to come to an end at some point when we're getting old and gray.
So anyway, we are contemplating 2025. That's what started this discussion was, what have we done? What are we doing? What do we think we're going to be doing? The how, when, what, and why, of the year when it comes out on the agriblogging highway. And I've been using that term for so many. I remember when we first started with Twitter, because Twitter was my first one. And that's the one I still, if I have any favorite, it still is X, as we call it now. But I remember going to Farm Machinery Show from Jefferson City, Missouri, and I would stop and take a picture at each state sign as you came into it, and I would tweet it. And people just thought this was the coolest thing in the world. They could see where I'm going, what I'm doing, and those few that actually had an account, because to start with, there wasn't hardly anybody. But
we got on Twitter as soon as it started.
I had badges going to some events where I was not media, I was an influencer. Because it was on Twitter. I think I had a high of about 24 or 5,000 followers. It's about 19,000 something now.
Twitter started in 2006.
Yeah.
And we've been on it since then.
But I think I did 2 tweets the first year because there was literally nobody. But we really got into it after that. And it was really when Obama first was running for office. That's when he started 2008. It. And that really, it went crazy. Mm-hmm. And now it's
we've been riding the whole wave the whole time, and it just...
I spent several of those early years going and doing presentations for companies like Monsanto at the time and others, just to say, Chuck, can you spend an afternoon or a morning with our marcom staff, basically, and how do we do this? How are you supposed to do it? I still use some of the same things I said then to people today. It's got to have engagement. We're carrying on a conversation digitally, essentially. So I will be seeing you, like I said, coming up at Beltwide Cotton Conferences, Clean Fuels, let's see, CattleCon, Ethanol
Conference,
Commodity Classic. We got so many of you, a lot that are listening, whether you're farmers, whether you're working for an agribusiness company, agency, media. We've got a lot of friends out there, and we cherish that and really enjoy those opportunities we have. So looking forward to that, hoping to see you there, and safe travels for everybody.
And Happy New Year.
So that's the ZimmCast. I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for listening.
You've been listening to the ZimmCast, the official podcast of AgWired. Check us out at www.agwired.com to find out what's new in agricultural marketing.